Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 127 of the Debt Free Dad podcast. Today, I have an amazing guest joining us, Lisa Stejskal. Lisa joined Roots in October of 2021, and in just 7 months, check this out, has saved and paid off $40,329. Now, Lisa was nice enough to say that she'd join us on today's episode to share her journey and just how her and her family have made such amazing progress in just 7 months. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast, where we're helping normal, everyday people learn how to save money and kick debt so they can live a happier and stress-free life. Now here's your host, Debt Free Dad, Brad Nelson.
Hey, how is everyone doing today? You can find me on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Just search Brad Nelson, Debt Free Dad. And as always, I'd love to connect with you guys on some of those social platforms. And welcome to today's show. And remember to get all the show notes, resources, and links for today's show. Head over to balancesense.com/127. That's BALANCEDCENTS.com/127. So as I mentioned in our introduction, I'm super happy and excited to welcome Lisa to the Debt Free Dad podcast. Lisa is 41, and she's been married to her husband, Nick, for 20 years. They have 2 daughters, one finishing her second year of college and the other finishing her freshman year of high school this spring. Her husband, Nick, has been farming most of his lifetime and also has been a semi-truck driver. Lisa has worked as a part-time food service associate at her daughter's school for the past 6 years. She says that we live out in the country just south of Anamosa, Iowa, and I have a handful of cattle and their farm dog, Rusty, that they adopted roughly just 2 years ago. Lisa says, I love to run and share that with my girls. She also loves to ride her bike, craft, travel, and find new adventures to explore. She also says, I love to zip line, but I've got a fear of heights, which I don't know how those two go together. We'll have to talk about that one. She says, I joined Roots at the end of October after listening to the Life Without Payments workshop. After being sold on having a support group and accountability group, I couldn't be any more happier than I am right now to have joined Roots when I did. Lisa, welcome to the Debt Free Dad podcast. We're so glad that you're joining us.
I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So what is it? Okay, so real quick about ziplining. So does that mean you haven't gone ziplining, or you do, you just do it out of fear?
I have gone ziplining, and I love it once I get to the ziplining portion.
Okay. So it's like the overwhelming feeling of just waiting in line, getting up to the line. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. I've never gone, I'm trying to think. I think I've done like some small zip lining, but I've never done what's the tallest zip line you've ever been on?
So they have an underground zip line in Kentucky, and it's amazing. You can't see how far up from the ground you are, which is probably why I was able to do it.
Right.
So
that's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. So let's chat a little bit. You joined Roots back in October, and that's about 7 months from the time that we're actually just a little less than 7 months as we're recording this. And you guys have made some amazing progress. And when I think of you guys and your journey, I really think of the word consistency comes to mind a lot. And I think that's probably, and we can talk a little bit about that as we go on in this podcast, but I think, for me, seeing you guys week in and week out really take action and do the work and do a lot of the stuff that we talk about on this podcast, I think is proof. And that's why I love that you're going to be on here to share a little bit about what you guys have been able to experience and the things that you guys have been able to achieve by doing some of the stuff that we talk about on the show. But it's been amazing. So I'm really excited to learn a little bit more in detail about some of the things that you guys have been able to do. But before you joined Roots, can you share a little bit? I always like to ask this question to especially our Roots members or people that have had success with finances is, what did you learn about this stuff when you were growing up? When you grew up, and did you find that however you were taught played a role into how you handled money as an adult? And what was that like as you started as an adult? Was it challenging for you? Because I think money and personal finance habits really start getting built all the way back to when we were kids. So can you share a little bit about your experience with that?
Right. So the few times that I can remember actually, my parents talking to me about money would be, I was part of a bowling league every Saturday. And so we had our allowance, and our allowance was literally the same amount that it cost to pay to bowl. So it was kind of one of those, here's your allowance. So if you want to still be a part of the bowling league this Saturday, you'll have to spend it on that. Or you can go blow it on, the arcade stuff at the bowling alley, I guess. But
yeah. So they taught you, so they were already kind of teaching you a little bit about budgeting in a lot of cases.
Well, and then another big, I guess, impressionable thing that I remember is my oldest brother went into the Army, and he was overseas, and he had a credit card, and it didn't go well.
Okay.
So, and I can't say that I, completely learned from that, because obviously I've had my dealings in credit cards, and they didn't go well. I feel like every time I'm spinning on the hamster wheel of, going into debt with credit, I have seemingly gotten better with how I handle it.
But it wasn't always like that, right? Okay.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So, before you joined Roots in October, what were some of the things that you either were challenged with or struggled with finances, or what were some things that, ultimately were just like, maybe I should get help with this? Maybe things weren't going the way that you wanted them to. Can you share a little bit about, prior to joining Roots, what your finances were like?
It was get into a bunch of debt and then refinance, or, take out a second loan, or whatever we needed to do to make it, one or two payments. And then all of a sudden an emergency would come along again, which, as you've explained through your program, it's not really an emergency.
They feel like emergencies, right?
So, yeah. So that's kind of how it's been. And this last year, we did refi the house to get a lower interest rate, and went ahead and did that. But
yeah. So I think
it changed the fact that
go ahead.
We rolled into that. So
yeah. So would it be fair to say that you guys would try some things, do some things, like you said, refinance and do some of those, but it never really quite fixed any of the challenges? It more or less delayed them. Is that fair to say, you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. So now you mentioned in your introduction that one of the appealing things for you for Roots was just the support and accountability that we offer in the program. What were some other reasons why you ended up joining? Was there anything in particular that stuck out to you prior to joining that said, yes, we really need to try this and do this?
It really was. I mean, having the guidance, having the modules to go through and everything has been awesome. I love that part of it, because the support and the accountability was really what we needed.
Right.
But the modules just added to it. Like, obviously I didn't know going into it, but that was part of it. I mean, you talk about the steps, but it really has made it that much better of an experience.
Yeah. So the modules that you're talking about, though, is like that path, right? It's kind of taking you step by step. Okay, here are the things that you need to focus on. Don't focus on anything else. Just focus on these things, and step by step, just work on these things. And then when we're done with those things, we're going to move on to the next things, right? So share a little bit as you went through those modules, looking back, and going back, and I was going through our Roots Facebook group page, and I searched your name because I can go back and search all your posts. It was really fun to kind of see, and maybe you haven't done this yet, but you should. Just search your name in the group and just see some of those early posts that you made, because it's really always fun just to see where people get started. And some of the things that you were celebrating was, hey, we got our first budget done. Like, we had our first conversation as a couple about money, right? Since we've started. It was just really kind of cool to see some of those first things that you did. But can you share, because again, saving and paying off over $40,000 in 7 months, I mean, that's amazing. So people are probably like wondering, okay, what did you do, Lisa? Because I really want to be able to get those types of results. So can you go back when you first started, in those first, say, 2 to 3 months, what do you feel made the biggest difference for you guys in really helping you guys get traction to make these kind of results?
The money conversation definitely was a big part of it. Having that sit down conversation to come up with our big whys, our goals, and where we want to be instead of where we are.
Yeah, that's huge.
So that plays a huge role, honestly. And that's a lot of what it's been through this whole process.
Yeah. So do you mind sharing a little bit about what were some of the, I guess, maybe short-term or even long-term goals that really kind of got you guys bought into this as a family of, okay, we're going to really try this. Like, can you share? Because we feel, and we say that all the time on this show, it's like, once you have some why power behind it, it doesn't, I hate the word easy because it's not easy still, but it makes the process more tolerable, more exciting because you actually have something you're fighting for. Can you share a little bit about what you guys were trying to reach?
I'm looking up quick.
Sure, yeah, no worries. Yeah, take your time.
On the spot. So what I love about your planner is the goals portion of it.
Oh yeah.
Because that really does help. And I think I started in a different planner. So our first little goals, because we had a trip planned that wasn't initially going to be paid in cash. So that was one of our first goals. It was like, okay, we can do this. We make the money to be able to afford to do it. We just need to, map it out. How much is this going to take, each week? And then sitting down, like, say with the budget. So for us, he gets paid weekly and I get paid monthly.
Okay. Well, that makes it interesting.
So it was and then there's the whole farm side of it, that's never consistent, but
right.
But so for my paychecks, it was kind of like, okay, we're going to designate, these specific things get paid every month from mine. And then, his is irregular income compared to mine.
Okay.
So that makes it interesting too. But because he's been working where he's working for so many years, I am able to go back and look at that history and kind of figure out his income on that.
Yep. Love that. So three big gold nuggets you just shared, in case you missed them and you're listening to this, is number one, they established short-term and long-term goals that they believed in, really worked on their why. Why do they want to do this? Budgeting was a big thing, right? And her husband makes a regular income, and so they went back, looked at historical data, found a good average that they could work with. Because again, one of the number one excuses we hear on people who make a regular income is that budgeting doesn't work for me because I don't know what I'm going to make. Well, no, not quite. That's a cop-out, right? You can actually figure out a decent, reasonable estimate based on what you've been paid, and we can at least start there. So 3 amazing things that you guys are doing. That's awesome. So as you guys started budgeting, now did you guys already have your emergency fund before you started Roots, or did you build that along the way?
Actually, every year we put into his Christmas club, because they have it's a 7 or 8% APY. So I'm like, we have to do this.
Yeah.
Because they match so much and then they pay that interest on top. And I was like, this just makes sense. So, so despite the fact that we've had debt, we've been stocking into that. So unfortunately, in the past, it's been, okay, Christmas Club is going to get paid out at this point in time, and then we can pay this off and this off, like some people do with their tax returns.
Right. Yep.
But so it just so happened to land in November is when it gets paid out. So starting the end of October, it was like, okay, that's our emergency fund. That's
yeah. But that's a great thing. I mean, because normally you said in the past would you use that money to pay off debt, or what typically would you use that money for? Okay. So you were using that money to pay off debt. So either way, you guys were still kind of, you guys got kind of like a quick start getting that money right away as you joined the program. So that's great. So when you look at these numbers, like you look at what you guys have been able to accomplish in just 7 months, would you have ever believed, like if you would have went back to October and I would have told you, Lisa, you guys can seriously do this in 7 months, would you have ever believed you'd get those types of results?
Definitely not. I definitely feel like we would have still been on that hamster wheel.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing, right? So, we talked again about support and accountability. How much of a role do you think that played in you guys sticking to this plan for the last 7 months to get you these results, do you think?
The thing is, being on the Facebook group, you can say that like it's your choice whether you want to go on there and, let people know what's going on or what you're doing. But when you buy into it, it's like, okay, I'm not wasting my money on another thing.
Right.
And if I hadn't wanted to join, what's the point in not doing the work if you're, I don't know.
Right. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's like, we see a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, there are definitely people who join that sputter. There's no question. And it comes down to a lack of commitment and, or excuses, could be excuses. But we find that a lot of people who join, it's like they're really going up to the next level of commitment, not only because they had to invest in a program like this, but because they really see the value in what's happening here. Like with not only just with the smaller celebrations, but also the big celebrations from a lot of the other members that have been here for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. They're seeing those big numbers, and they're seeing that it's possible. But to be able to do what you guys have done in 7 months, I mean, that's outstanding.
Listening to the other success stories does really help push in the fact that it's like, well, if they can do it,
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about, can you share a little bit about maybe some sacrifices or things that you guys have had to do? Now, I know your kids are really involved, and I believe it's archery, right? Aren't they? You go to archery tournaments, or are you in archery? How is that all working?
So my husband's head coach of an archery. So obviously my older daughter in college is not involved with archery anymore. But yeah, so the trips can get expensive if you're not prepared, and it can be an expensive sport.
Like a lot of them can be.
Right. So you definitely look up those dates and plan. It's like, putting in a calendar your property taxes or your, birthdays, holidays.
Yeah.
It's our thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But what I think is remarkable about it, though, is that you guys have not only been able to get the results with reducing debt and saving money, but you guys have also been able to cash flow and budget for these types of events. And, a lot of people tend to feel, though, like if I get on a debt, it's like going to be like this super extreme diet. Like I can't do anything fun. My kids aren't going to be able, I'm going to be like no to everything. And it's like, but it doesn't have to be that way. And that's what I love about your guys' journey is that, yes, you guys have made tremendous progress, but at the same time, you guys have still
taken a lot of trips.
Yeah, you guys have still lived your lives, which I think is awesome. So speaking about your kids and your family and stuff, How were they with this when you got on this plan? Or, like, was everyone on board? Did it take a little while? And can you share a little bit about that?
So different little pieces. So one of the things we did sacrifice would be like going out to eat. We did quite a bit of that before starting on this. And my oldest daughter actually, funnily enough, this previous summer had made a comment about, you need to put together menu plans. I want to know what's for supper every night. And, and so then I was like, okay, so there's some value in that. It's definitely a saver on your budget because you know exactly what you need. You look up the recipes, you know exactly what groceries you're getting. And I am not huge into shopping. So that's just been one of those things for me that.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So can you share a little bit about, from the stress side of things, stress better now?
Very much so. My face was like broken out. I felt like I was a teenager again.
Yeah.
The zits and whatever. Yeah, no, knowing that we have things covered before they come up it's immensely helped with all of my anxiety and everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so good to know. And again, that's really the ultimate goal here is, yes, the being able to pay for trips and have cash to do fun things, all that stuff's great, but be able to be able to live your life day in and day out without having to worry so much about money and how are we going to pay this month's bills and how are we going to cover this, how are we going to cover that, and for you guys to have just a good plan now that you guys can follow. I mean, that's like the greatest benefit of all the hard work that we do here in this program, is just the stress-free living that you get. So that's awesome. So any other last tips or anything that you would share before we go? Like if you had to start over again, because we asked this question, as we get new members in, I really like to rely on our members that have been in the program, and I like them to give advice to our new members. And so I'd like you to do that if you had to start over again, and let's say it was Lisa in September of 2021. It was a month before you joined, and what kind of advice would you give to someone who either doesn't know anything about roots or maybe is on the fence about getting started with just getting control of their finances? Like what would you say to them, knowing what you know now after doing this plan for about the last 7 months?
I mean, I guess I've listened to like over and over to the modules so much and the podcast so much. I feel like I could probably, preach some of the same stuff that you guys. It's so worth looking into like what you don't know, like you say, if you don't know how to save, then you should be going and looking up resources on, people who have saved, like how did the millionaires do it?
You got it.
This is an awesome program and one of those that is worth looking into.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Lisa, it was great to have you on and to share a little bit about your experience and what you guys have been able to do. And again, to save and pay off well over $40,000 in 7 months. It's just outstanding. Like people ask me, Brad, how do people do that? And it blows my mind that our members are able to get such amazing results. But it all comes from just having that hard work, that accountability, that support. And when you mix all of those three things together and you're willing to really put this plan into action, man, it's just amazing to see what normal people are being able to do. So huge congratulations to you and your family.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, if you love planners, this is for you. But you know why planners frustrate me? Because they only really get it half right. Now, sure, they're really good and fancy about helping you manage your time, which is really important, obviously. That's what a planner's for. But where they get it wrong is money, the second most valuable resource in our lives. Most planners don't include any financial planning, things like, keeping track of paydays, bills, due dates, spending, yearly expenses, budgets, cash flow planning, debt elimination plans, and goal planning, right? None of that stuff. That's a real pain. And then what? Then you got to create your own in some silly binder, right? And who has time for all of that stuff? So instead, what happens? Nothing, right? A lot of people tend to ignore their finances even more, and things only get worse. Well, that all ends today because I am so excited to announce and release my brand new, totally awesome Debt Freedom Planner. This thing's awesome, by the way. Now, before you say, Brad, I've already got a planner. This is not an ordinary day planner. This is the Debt Freedom Planner, which is a companion tool that works with your day planner, and it's built to help you manage your money, pay off more debt, and melt away financial stress. And I believe this is the tool that a lot of people who want to take control of their finances have been waiting for. So head on over to therealdebtfreedad.com, click on the Debt Freedom Planner in the menu to get access to your planner today.
Hey, what's this I see? I thought this was a party! Let's dance!
All right. That song means it's time for the celebrations of the show today. And just again, a huge shout out and celebration to Lisa and her family. Again, just another amazing example of just a normal, hardworking family who decided to do things differently, got the right education, the support and accountability, and surrounded themselves with the right kind of people. They took massive action, and here they are. Now, will you be able to get the same exact numbers in just 7 months? Well, there's no guarantees of that, but I can guarantee you one thing, that if you take the amount of action that they've taken in the next 7 months, I guarantee you're going to be in a much better place with your finances than you are right now. And again, we're seeing these wins all the time from normal, hardworking people. If you want to change your finances, reduce financial stress, and end the paycheck-to-paycheck life, it is possible. And we are sharing that all the time here on this podcast. And to kick off today's celebrations, we're going to kick it off with Sarah Ann. Sarah says, I am working on setting up a meal plan for the next week using most, if not all, of the ingredients already in my house, which is awesome. Way to reduce waste there, Sarah. That's awesome. Penny Yates Johnson, her win is that she started Roots. So very much just like Lisa, who we just had on the show, started back in October of 2021. She's just getting started. Penny, congratulations to you. Huge step forward. We're excited to encourage you and support you along the way. A lot of great wins to come. Tasha Peterson, my loan from 2018 is finally paid off. Now, I only paid it off 4 months early. That's okay. That's still a win. But holy smokes, she says, I'm so glad to see it gone. Tasha, amazing win. Congratulations to you. Max Wilder, I didn't go out to eat all week this week, which is a huge win for me considering I used to eat out at least once a day, sometimes even twice a day. Max, crushing it, willing to try some new things, getting some great results. That is amazing. Congratulations to you. Jill Brown says, I spent a super fun week in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and Dollywood, and I didn't have to worry about money. I ate all the treats, she says. She says, my son would say, can we or can I? And she says, yup, let's do it. And that is an amazing win. One of the biggest goals, or one of the more popular goals that we see here in Debt Free Dad, is people want to travel more. They want to have more life experiences, take their kids on trips. And Jill, this is just a huge win for you. I know you worked hard. You've saved and paid off a tremendous amount of debt. It's just been amazing to watch your journey, and to get wins like this now. What a payoff. So I hope that trip was amazing. Paid in cash, no financial stress coming home. Proof you can enjoy your money while still getting out of debt and having success. That's awesome, Jill. Congratulations. And then last but not least, Stephanie Arnett. This is my first month using the budget system, and we've already paid off 2 small credit cards. Stephanie, that is absolutely incredible. Congratulations to you. Remember, everyone, to get all the resources, show notes, and links for today's show, including the Life Without Payments workshop, where most people are getting their start and learning these steps on how to take control of their finances. If you'd like to learn more about that, head over to balancesense.com/127. That's BALANCEDCENTS.com/127. And thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our podcast. So please leave us an honest review. We read every single one of those. And as you guys know, the Debt Free Dad podcast is here to help you live a happier and stress-free financial life. So if you know someone who could benefit from our show, hey, please give us a share. We appreciate you, and we will see you guys on an upcoming episode. Take care.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us here today. We love your feedback, and it also helps us grow our YouTube show. So please give us a like or leave us some honest feedback on this video. And if you want the latest from the show, obviously be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to our channel. And for the latest resources, or if you want more information on how to kick debt and financial stress, please be sure to check out the links in this video or head over to therealdebtfreedad.com. We'll see you guys on an upcoming show. Take care.